to Let It Rip Railroads. We're going to take a peek at the circuit graveyard, and we're going to look at how two trains are going to operate on the railroad tracks that we've created. Now, according to our diagram in our document, which can be referenced, we are going to look at two trains, train A and train B. Train B is located in the middle of the inner 8 loop of the track. Train A is going to be on the top, if you look at an eagle's eye point of view, on the top of the outer loop. And essentially we're trying to create a system of collision avoidance where train A and train B are not going to collide at any point throughout our trials. Now, the first thing is when we do power our rails, train B is going to start from the middle area of the inner loop, and it's going to travel upwards to an isolated part of the track highlighted in blue in our diagram, and it's going to stop because the rail at that point is unpowered. Now, in the meanwhile, train A is going to make its way down to the Y section of the railroad at the bottom of the loop area, and it's going to pass through Hall Sensor 1, and at that point it's going to be in an isolated track as well, and it's going to stop. Now we're going to create the stopping of these trains to create a 8-second delay for the capacitor to fully charge and switch the flips from the outer to the inner loop, and so both tracks are powered. And the reason why we're doing this is to make sure that one train will be on the outer loop and the other will be in the inner loop, so we don't have any clashing at all. And then the following events happen simultaneously. Essentially, whenever one train stops on the lower isolated track, the track does not receive power until the other train passes through the Hall sensor at point 1. The first change in the Hall state is triggered by the passing of the Hall sensor at point 1 and flips the flip-flop. The resulting current reaches Arduino, and then it sets the power track relay to low. When the other previously stopped train passes through the Hall sensor at point 2, the lower isolated track is unpowered and the train behind it is stopped on the lower isolated track. The second change is in the Hall state is triggered by the passing of the Hall sensor at point 2 and flips the flip-flop again, resulting in the Arduino communicating to the track relay to set the voltage to high and to switch the power to high. And this process repeats. Train A proceeds to the Hall sensor at point 2, the lower isolated track is unpowered, and then train A then is passed through the Y switch track onto the inner loop, eventually making its way around the back to the Y-shaped track. Meanwhile, train B proceeds towards the Y-shaped track to the Hall sensor at point 1, the lower isolated track is powered, and train B is then passed through the Y switch track onto the inner loop, eventually making its way around the Y-shaped track. And now, without further ado, let it rip. Enjoy.